Clarkson and Shands, investigating the issue.
Now, if you are hacked or stalked online, what happens? We'll find out in just a moment. Hello, Liz.
Hello, Craig. How are you? It's nice to have you here.
It's a pleasure to be here.
So this week we're talking about on Clarkson and Shands. We like to uncover the issues, as you know. And this week we're talking about our world going online. This was kind of in the face of Mark Zuckerberg and the scandal around Facebook and the data there.
He was under severe heat there, wasn't he, for a while?
Interesting. In about half an hour, Facebook is set to report its first quarter earnings after the bell. I'm not sure if the bell is at 5 p.m. or not, but it's 4:20 at the moment in New York, so it won't be long. So that's really interesting stuff. So we thought we'd take a closer look at how our world has changed now that we've gone online. And I guess in the past it's been a difficult question. You asked about, if you're hacked or you're stalked online. The laws are probably still trying to catch up to how quickly we're moving. And so we found out that there is such a thing called an e-investigator. And I hadn't heard about him before, but there you go. So what does the job entail? 1233's Garth Russell, before we went on a little break, caught up with e-investigator Simon Smith and began by asking him what his job entails.
Well, I'm a cybersecurity professional, so I tend to sort of look after parts where police don't really attend to these sort of events because they're kind of in the middle of physical crime and the unseen crime. So often people get attacked with their Facebook accounts and they get stalked, for instance, and you can't see it. And that's where I come in. I sort of find the people behind these hacked Facebook accounts or hacked social media accounts, and I find the actual person behind it and help them get their justice that way. And then hopefully provide a brief of evidence to the police or to the person so that they can get their defamation case going or an intervention order or something like that.
What do you make of the sort of people that are just troublemaking, these hackers that just seem to get some sort of, I presume, some sort of joy out of making people's lives difficult? Have you almost done a personality, sort of analysis on these sorts of people?
Absolutely. I deal with them every day. Basically, there's a few different types. They're not actually at all anywhere near as smart as what the media purports them to be. And in fact, hacking in general, I've got obviously hacking qualifications, and because I've been programming, I can reverse engineer.
Yeah.
But generally, your typical hacker is really only just sort of reading a script of what someone else has already figured out by reverse engineering something that's actually already been done. So It's almost like just sort of playing for them, It's not like they can be called in to solve a massive cyber crime, for the government, unless you really are talking the real head honcho people like Snowden sort of thing. But
and what are the penalties that someone caught hacking can face?
Yeah, well, that's a very good question. And in fact, people don't realise that when they go behind a computer and they are playing and they're not actually good at what they do, when honestly, I've seen some pretty bad hackers and caught some pretty bad scammers that have left so much obvious trails behind. It is actually indeed punishable by jail here in Australia. It's a common law offence to basically intercept a telecommunications device, which could be the internet or it could be a phone, and also to cause menace or harm to another person's computer or to a server, and to cause loss. And also it's stalking, if you're constantly bombarding people or pretending to be someone else. I've done a lot of stalking cases and got a lot of people stalking orders, and that's one of the biggest things I was getting to before, where people don't know who the actual defendant is, so there's no point going to a lawyer or going to the police when you don't know who you're actually going to go against.
Is there a piece of advice you'd give people? Is there a way that people, or things that people can do to help safeguard their privacy, help safeguard, from this sort of activity?
Yes, please protect yourself on social media. But just the littlest things. I mean, we don't really need to know that you're eating lunch and, and where you are, because, I mean, even if you don't try, honestly, your Apple devices and your Samsung devices are already telling private investigators and forensic investigators and Joe down the road really what you're doing. So you really just have to be very careful about what you make public on your profiles and what you're doing.
how our world is changing. That's investigator Simon Smith talking to 1233's Garth Russell there about how crime is moving online and how we can, I guess protect
Catch up.
ourselves and catch up and make sure we're not doing the wrong thing and make sure somebody else isn't doing the wrong thing towards us.
Yeah. Okay.
So there you go.
Thank you, Liz.
Thank you.
There's Liz Clarkson with another episode of Clarkson and Shands. We've got the news coming up very shortly at 6:30.